Hi, welcome back. This is the interactive media video series. Today we are going to address the design sprint that you've been working through, and specifically day number 2. And day number 2 is all about drawing and sketching, so that's the fun part. You get to come up with a ton of ideas. So let me go ahead and switch over here and we'll get started. So you have completed some work on your own. We've done some background research, we've discussed it in class, you've talked about it as a group, and today we're actually going to pull all that information together and start putting pen to paper. And I mean pen to paper, so we're not going to do any like design sketches using our computers or our mouses or pixels. We only want to do this on paper first because it's a great way to quickly go through ideas and not feel overly committed by them or to them since you're not spending a lot of time on them. So what we'll start with today is the comparable problem. So what we want to do is look at the current sprint problem. So here our sprint problem is helping a group of people or a family order food before they get hangry. So if that's our problem statement, what we want to do is actually find a problem that's similar to that and start kind of creating some solutions based on that problem. So what we want to do is look outside of our current field, the current industry that we're focused on. So here we're focusing on fast food pizza for the most part, or made to order, I guess, in this case, but that's delivered to you very quickly. It's certainly not a sit-down restaurant. It's certainly not something like Soylent where you just kind of like pre-make the shake and then you consume it. And it's definitely not a TV dinner, so it kind of falls into this very specific category of food. So what we want to look at is a similar industry, so not something like Domino's, so not Pizza Hut, not Papa John's, etc., but find something that is similar enough to it. So similar to a component of the group ordering experience, or the way to get people not hangry experience. Look for these parallel industries and companies and products and see what kind of inspiration that you can come up with. And let's go ahead, once you pull this information together individually, then you're going to share out your examples with your group. So let's go ahead and do that. So now that you've had a chance to look at different examples that exist, so different companies that are solving something similar, but are not pizza companies or not pizza made to order to deliver companies. Now we want to pull all of that information and the research that you did before and the generative questions that you've asked. We're going to pull all that together and actually start sketching now. And the first exercise that we do is called Crazy Eights. And Crazy Eights is a way to come up with a lot of different ideas in a short amount of time. So the goal is to actually create 8 ideas in 8 minutes. So not 8 similar ideas, or not 8 steps in a process or in a flow, but actually 8 radically different ideas. And we do this because, our first instinct, we always have this way that we want to solve the problem. It's already burning in our heads most likely, and the best thing to do is just get it down on paper and then move on, because what we want to do is actually create this variety of solutions and start pushing those solutions to be even more innovative and even more interesting and helpful. So although we want to get the first one out on paper, we're going to do it in 1 minute, and then the next 7 should be something completely different than that first one, than your initial idea. And what we need to do is to silence that inner critic. So you're going to try to draw something and be like, oh, like this is too simplistic. Or you're going to draw something, it's like, oh, it's too complicated and no one's going to get it. Or you're going to think that, oh, this is super amazing and like I just need to keep drawing the same thing over and over again. What we want to do is completely silence that person and just go ahead and get drawing and keep moving very quickly. So again, it's less about your first instinct and developing that. It's about 8 completely different ways to solve the same problem. So the first thing you do is you fold your paper, and then you fold it again, and then you fold it again, and then you end up with 8 rectangles essentially on a sheet of paper. From there, you will unfold it, and then we'll set a timer, or you'll set a timer if you're doing this at home, to draw one idea out every minute for 8 different minutes. And again, let's push beyond that initial idea and let's contain your idea to that one rectangle. And we want to focus on drawing the idea, not writing it out. Okay, so once you're done with all of your crazy 8s and drawing them out, I know that went really fast and you probably came up with some super amazing ideas. What we want to do now, if you're in person, we want to actually tape all the sketches up on the wall so that everyone can see them clearly. So this is kind of like this showroom or art gallery model that allows everyone to look at your work. And then every person who drew something, so each one of the people in your team will be given a couple minutes to just talk through different ideas that they came up with and answer any kind of high-level questions. So we don't want to dive too deep and get stuck on explaining one thing in a lot of detail. You drew these very quickly, so chances are you don't have the details. You don't have to make them up. What we want to do is just get the general idea of the ways that you're looking to solve this problem out there. For the team leader, the team manager, if you find that the discussion is starting to stall on any particular part of your discussion, just go ahead and move your team along. So feel free to cut them off after 3 minutes. I want to make sure that everyone gets their work seen and they also get an opportunity to explain it. And since you've shared your drawings and have explained your ideas, this is where we start voting on ideas. Remember that divergence and convergence diagram that we had, like the double diamonds drawing from like a couple slides ago at this point. So what we want to do is now take this vast amount of ideas and start converging them into maybe one idea that you want to work on. So each person gets 3 dots and the team will have 10 minutes to essentially dot with their votes on individual sketches. So not a whole paper, because a whole paper is still 8 ideas. So each person gets 3 dots, they get 10 minutes to stop and think about all the different designs they're looking at, and they get to use their dots to vote on an idea. So it can be like a particular screen or the way that someone explains something, or maybe a couple of components here and there, but limit it to 3 votes per person. That'll help manage some of these, all these expectations and opinions. It's okay to vote on your own like set of sketches. Just make sure it's still only 3. You can't just put like 3 on top and be done with it. It needs to be 3 individual votes for individual screens. And make sure that if you feel particularly strongly about a certain direction or a certain screen, then you can just throw all of your dots on there too. That's fine, but you don't get more. So make sure you use your 3 votes wisely. Again, you can vote on your own. I wouldn't recommend it too much unless you feel really strongly about it. But otherwise, take the time to absorb all of this information and to vote on the best ones possible. And then from there, we'll take the dots and move forward with it. So now we are at the solutions sketching and voting, meaning that we will be starting to draw out our individual solutions based on the most recent voting exercise. So solution sketching just means that you're going to take the idea that was most voted on your crazy 8s sheet, and you're actually going to start drawing different parts of that experience. And it becomes essentially like an 8.5 by 11 with a couple of sticky notes on it that fully articulates the big idea that you have and the solution that you think is best to solve this problem of, where are we going to eat for dinner and how are we going to get this whole family on board. So each team member will create their own. So again, it's an 8.5 by 11 and 3 sticky notes on it, and each person works on their own. So the crazy 8s that you voted on, everyone had their own sheet. The idea that was voted on the most on your sheet is what you will work on. But if all of your voting dots aren't concentrated on one design, maybe maybe someone voted on the header of one sketch and then the words on another, and then maybe like a couple of ideas on another. What we want to do is actually take this opportunity to combine them all. into one solution. So the heavy lifting is on the person who is drawing it, not so much on the people who are voting for it, because they might be voting for very random things. So this exercise is to help allow each individual designer dedicated time to fully flesh out their ideas, or as much as they can in the time that we're given, which is not a lot. You can also combine ideas that you are most interested in exploring if you didn't get a chance to fully articulate it in your Crazy 8 sketches or verbal explanation. So even though your team voted on which one they thought was most interesting, it's still ultimately up to you, the designer, to make that decision. So it's okay to come up with a new idea or to combine other ideas, or maybe even combine someone else's ideas into your design. At this point, it's okay. But again, we want you to have some dedicated time to sit down and to create this flow, 3 screens, and to actually draw out in detail what's going to live in your product. Once you're done sketching out your ideas, you want to stick these sticky notes. You see these are the longer rectangular ones. You want to actually stick them on your 8.5 by 11 sideways, so like landscape, and then give your solution a name. So go ahead and write that up top. This will allow your facilitator, your team manager, to help facilitate the conversation and be able to address it as a product name and not say it's Amanda's design. Because again, we want to remove ourselves from kind of this emotional ownership. We want to stay as objective as possible. So you'll put your 3 stickies onto this paper. It has the title of your kind of idea or product on it. The 3 sticky notes are actually rectangular, and they can be rectangular for mobile or they can be rectangular for desktop. And again, you got to shove a lot of information in here, so do your best, but make sure it includes real text as much as possible, and any types of affordances or visual cues that tell people what to do. So if something is a header, make it look like a header. If it's a menu, make it look like a menu, etc. But you only get 3 stickies and you get one 8.5 by 11, so you have to make it count. Of course, if you make a mistake, you can just grab another sheet of paper or some other stickies, but ultimately what you put up on the wall for everyone to view will only be 3 stickies and one 8.5 by 11 that looks exactly like this. Okay, so now that you've finished your individual work and created individual solutions to this big sprint problem, what we need to do now is to create an art gallery. So we will put up every individual sketch, or like the 8.5 by 11, up on the wall, and everyone on the group has about 3 to 5 minutes to present their idea. So they can first verbally explain it and then actually walk through the individual drawings. It's not as helpful if everyone's sitting down, so this is a good time for everyone to stand up, kind of shake things out a little bit, and then actually look at the individual sheets of paper that are hanging up on the wall, and move through them while one of your team members is explaining their vision. So this is also a time where you can engage your designer and ask them for clarifying information about their drawing or about their vision. So it doesn't have to be a one-way conversation. This is a great time to actually have more of a fruitful discussion, but keep it between 3 and 5 minutes since we need to move quickly on this. So now that you've gone through Crazy 8s, we've done some group voting, and then everyone individually has had a chance to dive into a set of solutions and to present that to their team. I want you to prepare for our next session because it's going to be pretty heavy. So first thing is I'll need you to take photos of all of your sketches and your voting dots, and essentially any documentation of the decisions or the conversations that you had today. Since this class and the next one kind of falls during like a weekend, I just want to make sure that all that information is captured before we can move forward. That way you can reference it later. I also want you to begin assembling a web-based case study. So we had some requirements earlier from like when we first kicked off the project that there was a deliverable for this, and that is a case study. Essentially, it's a way for you to explain your thought process and all of the outcomes you had during this 5-day sprint, and you do it on your website that we're setting up. So go ahead and get that formatted and start inserting as much information as you can in day 1 and day 2, and So we've done the problem solving, we've done some sketches. Now we're going to start moving into like prototyping and creating a usability study and a retrospective. So start filling in information from the phases that you've already participated in, and then you'll leave the spaces blank for our future sessions. All right, I hope to see you next time.